Good morning. Good morning. Happy opening day. Happy Thursday. Just absolutely loaded. Just loaded day today. Opening day, Sweet 16. I'm still mad there's no baseball at 1 o'clock. Why is there no baseball until 3? I'm still mad about that. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. We're gonna run through these baseball games and just higher level kind of thoughts on stuff. I don't ever go too crazy personally, me, like betting the first couple days of baseball. Baseball is definitely one of those sports that I like to get some data under my belt here, like at least give me like a month to look at stuff. But I mean, we've got MLB DFS back, we've got MLB betting back. We're gonna do. I'm gonna do a home run pick every day of the season, and we're gonna see how many we can hit over the course of a season, or at least from now until whenever football starts, which is in late September. So essentially every day of the MLB season, home run pick. So we need to lock on to a home run pick for today. And we got to talk about these Sweet 16 games. Still alive in the survivor pools as well. So we got to figure out who to use for that. I'm leaning Alabama, but I'm curious if anyone in the chat is still alive in a March Madness survivor pool. I'm all ears. You guys can tell me who you want to use. I'm sure it's dependent on who you've already used. So for me, I can kind of run through the situation here. So let's start out with March Madness, and then we'll dive into baseball and find our home run pick for the day. I also have a couple spots I like for betting baseball today. I don't know if the lines have moved at all. I took the first 5 under in this Brewers Yankees game. No, I'm still fine with this. So I like the first 5 under here. Pretty good pitching weather in New York today. It's not hot. It's pretty cold, actually. 2 pretty good pitchers that I think are going to have good seasons on the mound as well. And then Yankees. Okay, well, I said we're going to start with March Madness, and then I just started giving out a pick of baseball. So let's table that, and then we'll come back to MLB. Mitchell, what's up? No place I'd rather be on opening day. Exactly. Why do you think MLB and NBA are losing ratings? NFL ratings remain up. Football is king. It's always going to be king. It's the biggest sport. NBA, I think, loses ratings first and foremost. Okay, here's what we'll talk about. I don't know how accurate any rating numbers are because I don't think there's any way to quantify how many people are watching on a streaming website, like illegally streaming it. I don't know if there's a way to quantify how many people are watching there. So I don't have an accurate read on the true ratings numbers. I think the NBA loses popularity because it's not good until the playoffs. I think the playoffs are very good from the NBA. Like, I think the playoffs are good every year. I thought last year's playoffs were great. You know, Dallas and Minnesota and Dallas making a run to the finals. I thought that was great. But I think the regular season with guys not playing and stuff, it's not as popular as it once was. And then extrapolate out, Guru, why the NFL is so much bigger. It's because it's so scarce, right? You're getting the NFL one day a week. And yes, there's one game on Thursday, there's one game on Monday, but the big NFL day is Sunday. Everyone is off, like most people are off work, and you know that you're getting that one day. And the same thing with college. Yes, there's intermittent games on a Thursday or a Friday or whatever, but there's one day of the week where all the games are played. And for basketball and baseball, there's games every single night. So it's going to be harder for those sports to compete when it's not as scarce, right? But the NBA in specific, I don't have a true read of the ratings, but I think the fact that it doesn't matter until the playoffs with guys not playing and stuff affects things. MLB, I think, just does a terrible job marketing anything. And, their stars, and social media. I mean, you see NBA clips on social media all the time. You don't see as much with baseball, which I think hurts them. What's the underline? Ryan, it was the first 5 innings under runs, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Mike Trout home run pick for the day. More chalk for college. All right, let's talk about this. Let's get into the college basketball. I saw this just moved down to 4.5. I don't know what I'm not seeing with this game, because I haven't seen one person give out Alabama as a bet. All I've seen is people taking BYU spread, BYU money line. I'm just could not be farther from that. I don't understand. BYU has been great in the tournament. There's no doubt about it. They've been great really for the last month and a half. They've been very, very good. And I'm not denying that. But I feel like Alabama is getting disrespected. I think Alabama is lock and load the 5th best team. And I think they're lock and load the best team right now. They're the best team that is not in the Big Four, which are the 1 seeds: Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn. If you isolate those 1 seeds, I think Alabama is lock and load the 5th best team. And I don't really understand why so many people are on BYU in this game, because Alabama is just a better version of BYU. And when we get those kind of, matchups of teams that play similarly, I mean, this is an extreme example because I'm not putting BYU on the level of Akron at all. But if you think back to the first round, Akron versus Arizona, Akron was a popular upset pick, but those 2 teams play exactly the same. Arizona's just a way better, way more athletic version of Akron, and they blew the doors off them. Now, I'm not saying Alabama's going to blow the doors off of BYU tonight, but Alabama is a better, more athletic version of BYU. They both want to play fast. They both want to score on offense, and they both presumably, quote unquote, have a bad defense. Alabama does not have a bad defense. I don't understand where this sentiment is coming from. They have the 29th ranked defense on KenPom. BYU is outside the top 70. So I don't really know how we can compare those two whatsoever, especially when Alabama's got the 29th ranked defense in the country and they just played a gauntlet schedule in the hardest league, right? Alabama has the number 1 net rating strength of schedule on KenPom. They played a gauntlet of a schedule, and they still have the 29th ranked defense. And yeah, people will say, "Oh, they give up a ton of points." That doesn't matter. They play at the fastest pace in the country by a wide margin. You're going to give up more points. It's extrapolated out for a per possession basis. So I don't really understand the disrespect for Alabama. I think Alabama wins this game at least by 5. I mean, I think it'll be 8, 9 points personally. BYU is going to dare them to shoot threes, and Alabama's completely willing to do that. And I know they aren't as good shooting this year as they were last year, but we've kind of seen that positive regression come their way as we've progressed here. Like over the last month, their shooting percentage is significantly higher than it is for the season. So I think Alabama runs away with this one. I'm kind of confused on how many people love BYU. You're just betting on a worse version of the team they're playing, which I think is interesting. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people on BYU, but I like Alabama today. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And I'm probably going to ride Bama for my survivor pick because I've already used Auburn. So let me pull this up. We'll talk strategy for a second. And if you guys are still alive in survivors, let me know. Let me pull mine up. So this isn't an overly huge pool, so I have no problem being pretty safe. But on my one entry, I've used Texas A&M. Obviously, they're out of the tournament, so it doesn't matter. I've used Arizona, Auburn, and Maryland. Those are my other 3 teams. So considering that I've already used Auburn, I can't use Florida tonight because if they end up matching up in the Final Four and I make it that far, I wouldn't have a team, to use in that matchup between Florida and Auburn. So I can't use Florida tonight. So it basically comes down to Texas Tech and Alabama for me. I want to save Duke if at all possible. And the reason I don't want to take Texas Tech tonight is I think, again, looking ahead, Alabama, if they win, is probably going to play Duke. Texas Tech, if they win, is probably going to play Florida. I would rather take a chance and use Texas Tech over Florida than I would take a chance and use Alabama over Duke. So I would prefer to keep Texas Tech. If they win, we can maybe take a chance and use them over Florida, or we can use Florida over them and just hope that Florida loses. I don't know. Like regardless, you're kind of out at that point. So I'd rather take my chances and pick an upset over Florida than I would an upset over Duke. So I think Bama has to be the choice tonight. Hopefully they get it done. Tomorrow is going to be crazy because I've already used Auburn. I'm not using Houston. So picking between one of these 4 teams is going to be absolutely insane. Since we have an Ole Miss ticket to the Elite 8, I may just use Michigan State, and then I either hit the 8-1 or I move on to my survivor pool. I think that's the best case scenario for me tomorrow. Any CVB player props? Sometimes I look at them, but I can't bet them, Ryan, in Ohio, so I haven't taken any for the tournament, really. Just because I would have to go through, offshore to bet them, and I just don't like doing that. It's just a hassle. But moving on, Duke should roll Arizona. So I would play Duke or pass there. Maryland, Florida. Again, Florida has not covered either of their first 2 tournament games. Maryland kind of riding high, coming off that buzzer beater. I do think Maryland matches up decently well with Florida. I'm probably not going to play a side. I like Alabama -4.5. Probably won't play a side of these 2. Duke or pass, Florida or pass. Feels like Florida has to get right and cover a game here, but maybe I'm wrong. And then Arkansas, Texas Tech. I don't know if Theroux is going to play or not. I saw he was supposed to play, and then he didn't practice yesterday or something. Let me see here. See what the update is. Yeah, so this ESPN report, Adu Theroux iffy for Sweet 16. We'll see tomorrow. I don't think he's going to play. I thought that there was a report basically that he was going to play a few days ago, but then he didn't practice today. I don't really think he's going to play. So you can do with that information what you will. I don't think Theroux is going to play for Arkansas. I like Texas Tech. I think it's 50-50 if Chance McMillan plays in this game. He would be a big boost for them if they could get him back, especially offensively. But overall, you guys know I'm high on Texas Tech. I think they're very good. I think they have Final Four potential. I think they have championship game potential. So I'll take them over Arkansas. But since we have futures on them to win the region, win the championship, no reason for me to double down and bet them tonight. I don't think I'm going to hedge though. I think it's I think we're just going to let Texas Tech ride. So really the only bet I like as a straight bet in these games is Alabama. Should be some really good games though. And then tomorrow's games should just be incredible. I think Ole Miss, Michigan State's going to be awesome. Kentucky, Tennessee, we know is going to be awesome. Michigan, Auburn should be a pretty good game. And then big game for us, 5-unit max on Houston. We basically have them -145 on the money line in this game for 5 units. This is a huge game, biggest game of the season. I like Houston. They're elite defensively. They're elite at defending the pick and roll, which is what Houston wants to do, which is what Purdue wants to do on offense. So I think it's a bad matchup for Purdue's offense. And then defensively, Purdue will force you to shoot threes. Houston, number one. They have the number one 3-point percentage as a team in the country right now. They're just so good. They're too big, too physical, I think, for Purdue. Yeah, I think Houston's going to get it done for us. And then after that, if we get them to the Elite Eight, we'll consider maybe a potential hedge just because, we have the title ticket. But at the same time, I've told you guys from the jump, I think they're going to get to the Final Four. I don't know what the spread would be. I wish they had like hypothetical spreads up here, so I could figure it out without having to do my own work. But just curious what the spread would be against Duke, because I definitely would. I'll definitely be looking at a big hedge if Houston plays Duke, just because I'm going to win, 16, 17, 18 units. If Houston would win the title, I would definitely consider a hedge if they match up with Duke. But overall, yeah, I love Bama tonight. That's going to be probably my play of the day in the March Madness games, and then Survivor pick, I'll be riding with the Tide as well. Switching over to baseball, we need to identify a home run pick for today. We're going to give out a home run pick every single day of the season. We're going to see at the end of the season if how good or bad we are. First game, though, Brewers-Yankees. Like I said, good pitching weather. You can tell by the total there, 7.5. I took the first 5 innings under 4.5 in that game. I'd probably be cool with the full game under 2, just because the Yankees lineup is not that good with no Giancarlo Stanton. They obviously lost Soto, no Giancarlo Stanton. I don't know if their lineup is out for today yet. It is. So we have Austin Wells leading off, Aaron Judge, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, Jazz Chisholm, Jason Dominguez, Volpe, Ben Rice, Osvaldo Cabrera. Pretty bad lineup at the bottom, I'd say. Like Dominguez is a big question mark. Volpe struggled down the stretch hitting last year. Then you have Ben Rice and Cabrera. Top is still fine with, Judge. But then, extrapolate out Bellinger and Goldie after Judge, or Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton. A little bit of a difference. So not superimposed by this lineup here. And I like the pitching in this game. I like the bullpens in this game. So if you wanted to dabble on the full game under, I probably wouldn't be mad at that either. Yankees bullpen should be absolutely disgusting this year. Orioles and Blue Jays. This should be a fun game. Definitely some potential for a home run pick from this game. Like Vlad, you could talk me into. Let's see here. You could talk me into like a Vlad. Honestly, like Adley Rutschman, a little interesting, I would say. Not someone that we're accustomed to betting home runs with, but yeah, pretty good matchup versus Barrios there. Let's pull up some of the splits here, because this has one of the higher totals. If we just accept, let's just look surface level here, 8.5. We have an 8 here, and then that's it, because it's kind of cold on the West Coast today, I think. And then we have an 8.5 tonight in Arizona. So it looks like Arizona, Chicago, Toronto, Baltimore, that's going to be the best options for a home run pick for today, just based off the total. If we look up Jose Barrios, let's see here. So last year, 2024, we know he throws a lot of sinkers, right? He's using that sinker 33, 34% of the time. And I'm pretty sure Adley Rutschman has pretty big numbers against sinkers. Let's take a look here. Last year against sinkers, Adley Rutschman hit 300, 421 weighted on base, which was his highest number for all pitches. He had the highest weighted on base against sinkers as any other pitch. 41% hard hit rate is going to be his second highest in that. Expected batting average, far and away the highest against sinkers. So pretty good splits there against sinkers for Adley Rutschman. Yeah, Adley Rutschman is on my list. Just based off what he did in the spring training, he looked pretty good as well. And then sticking with that, let's look at Vlad here. So last year, Eflin, sinker baller as well, threw that 29% of the time, cutter 28% of the time. Vlad, we're looking at 290 batting average against sinkers with a 308 expected batting average. 53% hard hit rate is very high, but he hits the ball hard in general, so nothing crazy there. Against cutters, pretty good as well. Yeah, I feel like, all right, we'll table those two for right now. Potential home run picks. I don't really have a play in this game other than this, so definitely going to be looking for a home run pick in that Baltimore-Toronto game. Probably would lean Toronto, but I'm not going to go overboard betting baseball the first few weeks. We're going to take it easy. I only have 2 picks that I like for today for bets, so we're going to take it nice and easy. We're going to ease into the season, but definitely looks like potential for offense there, just given that it's one of the few games with a total over 8 today. Red Sox Rangers, this game is going to be awesome. 2 teams that I think are in the pennant race for the AL probably would be my 2 picks right now. If I was picking who's going to go to the World Series and represent the American League, the Rangers and the Red Sox would be my 2 picks. So these are 2 teams I'm really high on. I actually like the Red Sox in this game just because mainly of Garrett Crochet and how high I am on him this season. If you wanted to just take the first 5, you could do that, but I'm cool with the full game. Honestly, I like the Red Sox in that one, and that's one of the 2 bets I've taken. The Yankees Brewers first 5 under and the Red Sox money line. It's my 2 bets today. Phillies Nationals, curious to see. I know Nathan has been in our chat before and said that the Nationals lose on opening day every year. I'm curious to see how their offense looks this year with some of the guys that they've brought up. CJ Abrams is someone that I like. Dylan Cruz, James Wood. So the top of their lineup is pretty good, assuming things pan out. The bottom, not so much. So I'll be curious to see how the Nationals look this season. Philly, I mean, it should be, kind of more of the same there. No shock that they're, pretty big favorites at minus 156. I was looking at the weather prior to coming on here. It actually looked like semi-warm in KC with the wind blowing out a little bit. Not sure how much that will affect it this early in the season, but just thought that was noteworthy in that game. Clay Holmes going for the Mets. I'd be interested in dabbling on his strikeout props, I think. I mean, Houston in the past has not been a team that we've really looked to target strikeouts against, but this is a little bit of a different Houston team, especially at the bottom of the lineup, right? You talk about Cam Smith, Pena, Dubon, Jake Myers, like not quite as strong at the bottom as it has been in the past. And Clay Holmes has looked disgusting. If you guys have been following it along in spring training, the Mets, bringing him over to be a starting pitcher as opposed to working out of the bullpen, and he's been great. So I would be curious maybe and dabble on some Clay Holmes strikeout props today, I think. And strikeout props are not something that I typically bet early on in the season when we don't know how long these guys are going to go. But I think Clay Holmes' line, 4.5 is low enough that, he could get there in 3-4 innings, even if he only goes that long. Oh, yeah, and then Garrett Crochet, I didn't mention that, but we talked about it yesterday on stream. I kind of like his over strikeouts, but it was pretty juicy. It was 6.5 yesterday, and it was like -150. So I'd probably look to parlay that with something if that line is still that. I'll just check for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it probably would have to parlay this with something. I don't know. I do like it, but that's a little juicy for me. Hoskins, Raleigh, and Rutschman for a home run parlay. Don't hate that at all, Nathan. Braves, Padres, great game. Honestly, interested in this kind of matchup here. Burke is kind of good, and I think Kikuchi could have a pretty good year for the Angels, at least early on. We'll see what kind of happens with that team as the season progresses. But yeah, kind of an interesting pitching matchup there. Two guys that I like a lot. Obviously, we have Skeens going. Everyone will be watching that against the Marlins. That should just be domination. Pittsburgh first five is this is looking like a play for me, I think, to be honest with you. Maybe here we go. Maybe we do this. Maybe we do Pittsburgh first five plus 1.5. What do we get if we pair that up with Crochet 7 strikeouts? -110. Perfect. There we go. We'll add this in. Pittsburgh plus 1.5 for the first five. Garrett Crochet 7+ strikeouts. I think that is a pretty good play. Dodgers Tigers actually a fun game. Tigers are my pick to win the AL Central. And then just a great pitching matchup. Tariq Skubal, Blake Snell. Excited for that. I lean Seattle over the A's pretty big, so maybe you could do that instead of this, right? If you want to get plus money, wouldn't hate that. But overall, taking it pretty easy for the first day of baseball. Should be exciting to watch. Play some MLB DFS, which is one of my personal favorites. But yeah, betting wise, we'll ease into it. For the home run pick, though, let's look. What was the other game we talked about? The Arizona game, right? Gallen and Steele. Let's pull this up here. We'll look at Arizona first against Justin Steele. Justin Steele, obviously very good pitcher. Last year, pretty heavy fastball slider combo there. I mean, that's accounting for a very large percentage of his pitches. His slider is really, really good, though. So if we look at last season, his slider, 28% whiff rate. He allowed just a 160 batting average with that pitch, 182 expected batting average. Really, really good numbers for that slider, but mainly fastball slider. And he did have an outing in Japan earlier a couple weeks ago, and that kind of continued, right? He really didn't throw much of anything else. It was pretty standard two pitches from him, which can be four-seam fastball and slider. So let's take a look at who we think would be our best candidates on the Diamondbacks, and we'll kind of dive into how they fare against those pitches. I think obviously Ketel Marte always kind of at the top of the list. Gurriel, Gabby Moreno, maybe. Those probably be my three against the lefty. Let's look at Marte first here. Wait, let's look at the odds first. I like Vlad home run today, no sweat on DraftKings. Yeah, don't hate that at all. I kind of think I prefer Rutschman, but Yeah, I like that. That was my two picks from that game. Let's look at the odds first and foremost here. Yeah, Marte. Yeah, I mean, Eugenio Suarez always has been good against lefties in his career, but he's kind of fallen off in recent years. So let's look at Marte, and then we'll look at Gurriel, and then we'll look at Moreno. So Marte against fastball and slider. Let's see. 2024, huge 346 batting average against fastballs, 61% hard hit rate. Really, really good numbers across the board there. Weighted on base, 457, far and away his highest against any other pitch. Oh, wait, actually second highest. He has pretty big splits against curveballs, it looks like. And then against sliders, much worse numbers there, 279 and a 198 expected batting average. Definitely have some concerns there. Just he'll keep him off balance with that slider, I think. So unless he jumps on a fastball, I don't know. Considering he has the lowest odds in the game, probably won't pick Marte there. Let's look at Gurriel. Against fastballs, 240 expected batting average, 41% hard hit rate. I mean, it's pretty mid numbers, to be quite honest with you, against a pitch that you're going to see most often. Against sliders, pretty bad numbers there as well, so probably just avoid him. Nothing sticking out there to me. Gabby Moreno at 10-1 odds. Let's see here. Against fastballs, 303 batting average, 261 expected, 44% hard hit rate. Nothing really sticking out to me here from Arizona. So let's look at the Chicago side of things. So Zach Gallen, there's a lot of four-seam fastballs as well. He also has a changeup, kind of that knuckle curveball that he throws. That's really good. So last year, for example, his four-seam fastball, he allowed a 280 expected batting average with that, with a 13% whiff rate. Right, like not honestly a great fastball from him. Knuckle curve though, 148 batting average against, huge 39% whiff rate. So this is really his bread and butter. That's where he gets those swing and misses. That's where he gets those strikeouts. Is that knuckle curve? If we look at the Cubs side of things, I mean, obviously, Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, someone we know, Pete Crow Armstrong, the rookie there. Let's look at Ian Happ here. Let's see. I'm not a big BVP guy, but just for reference, it doesn't look like anyone on the Diamondbacks has great numbers in a limited sample against Justin Steele either. So that's not shocking to me considering, what we just found with the data there. Yeah, nothing. I mean, nothing sticking out to me here either with Ian Happ. I don't know. I think we might go back and take Vlad or Rutschman just because. I mean, Ian Happ, pretty low numbers even against not a great fastball hitter, although he does have 55% hard hit rate there. Just not a big enough sample against, obviously, the knuckle curve to draw anything from, and it's such a unique pitch anyways. I don't know. I think we might go Rutschman. That might be my home run pick today. So we're going to do one home run pick every day of the season for opening day. Someone that I don't know if I've ever even bet on this guy to hit a home run just because it's not really his thing, but we're going to take Adley Rutschman for opening day home run pick. That about does it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to expand on the MLB in the coming days here. DFS, betting, all that good stuff. Like we're going to have full previews of the MLB slates moving forward, especially once we get through the rest of this March Madness tournament. But I will be live tomorrow. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some Friday night March Madness. Hopefully Alabama wins tonight and, we survive until tomorrow. But thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. And I'll see everybody tomorrow.